There's no point disciplining a child if they don't understand what discipline is. So you need to train a child from an early age, from birth. For example, when a child is born, they require food. That's one of the first things that they require is food. Now, if they don't have food, they scream, because that's the way they're telling you, I need some food, feed me. They can't talk, so they scream. As a parent, you've got to understand that. Why are you screaming? Oh, I'm hungry, or I'm wet. So you give them the food. But if that child keeps crying every minute because he wants food, and you acquiesce to that demand, then you're not training the child. And the child will end up running your life and dictating your life and if you're not careful, that will overspill from childhood, from a baby to infant to child, puberty to adulthood. And you will be always whistling and dancing to the tune that your child whistles.
Because of me being in work and my wife being at home and working from home, she's able to be more hands-on with the kids. And she leads a very disciplined, highly disciplined lifestyle for working, homework, studying, and the children, they spend time together around the table every single day with homework or studying. Studying is more of a social thing in our house rather than a chore, and that environment is created quite well. There are times when I join in because I love to take part in that side, but purely because of times when I'm not around. It's the thrust of it is primarily my wife, and she does that very well. So routine is her forte.
So you will say to the child, I'm going to give you milk, and of course a period of time has to lapse before you can start inflicting disciplines, but you will tell the child, albeit by your actions rather than your words, you will get fed every 4 hours, and I will feed you this amount. If you start crying afterwards, I'll give you water. So therefore the child starts to learn how it's working. And if the child continues to cry, you will try and console the child, etc. But at some point you may just leave him to cry, because the child will learn. Because if every time the child cries you give in to their demands, then it knows from birth, I'll cry and I'll get some food. And in the end, you're not training a child.
3 boundaries that we have. Boundary of time to go to bed, so they have enough time to sleep and recharge. Boundary of food. I'm not a believer of snacking for snacking's sake. Number of children I see suffer because they're not eating the right foods and can't concentrate in school. And the boundary of what they watch. I think far too many programs on TV may come across quite innocent, but they display great folly. And so I don't allow them to watch even some kids programs, because they're not dressed up as kids programs, or should I say they're dressed up as kids programs, but they've got very kind of underlying adult theme. So with TV, certain programs I don't allow them to watch.
So the discipline starts really from birth. In terms of external forms of discipline and chastisement, it's no point in chastising a child until they are aware of what that chastisement is. That could be physical punishment, it could be deprivation, it could be put them to stand in a corner or stand on the stairs, put their hands on it, whatever. The point is, there's no point in giving those forms of discipline if the child has no clue what's going on? So they must be able to correlate discipline with event.
One of my fortes is character development, and developing the characters between the three, also to be able to develop them as characters, to develop each other as a team, is also an important thing for children to have within siblings. In fact, lots of the activities that are being brought into the house or outside is for them to actually work as a team or share, work together, complete their tasks together, so they know how to, to be in that three-legged race, as it were. Not to say they can't do things by themselves, but I want them to be. I want them to have the character to work together, which also helps outside in the wider community when they can learn how to work with other people. So between routine and building character, there's a skill set, and there's also the character to actually take those skills and use them in the wider community.
If the child has done something, they must understand the consequences of their actions. Now, as they become older and wiser and more intelligent, so their understanding grows of the consequences of their actions. But nonetheless, the training of a child, as far as I'm concerned, starts just after birth.
One of my high points in my computer game life was completing Sonic the Hedgehog. I felt really great. It's fantastic. One of my low points in my life was this took the place of my revision, and I really failed, to be quite honest, in doing the